Hello.
Good luck, have fun, and beat 'em.
Welcome to another YouTube guide. I'm really excited to share this guide with you. I've been thinking about this guide for over a month. It is TvZ 3cc Bc Mech. This is the most meta TvZ mech build that there is right now. At least the opening, right? Anytime I see mech, it's usually fast 3cc. And I think that's because of how fast you land your third base and how fast you get to mine those like
Additional supply
extra
depots
gases.
are required.
I think that's why the 3cc is so popular. Because really, you'll see this entire time throughout this build that the limiting factor is gas. All right, so this is racks, then gas. We don't usually go gas first in TvZ. That's a bit of a meme. But yeah, you'll watch like this entire time I'll be floating, like even with taking such fast gases, this build will float minerals and you'll just be super gas starved. And that's because battle cruisers cost so much, upgrades cost so much, factories cost so much gas. Everything that we need with this build is just gas intense. Alright, so Reaper Orbital Expand. I should mention that this build, if you're going to try it, it's going to take a lot of practice. It's not very intuitive. A lot of things are quite challenging with it.
Your command center upgrade is complete.
Even in this replay, there's a few mistakes I have, and I'll point them out.
The Grim Reaper has arrived. SCV ready.
So that way you guys do not make the same mistakes. Okay, so normally in TvZ you might take that gas right away. We're going to not do that. And that's because we're going fast third command center. After the Marine, get a reactor. After you have 16 out of 16 on that mineral line, just rally one SCV to the side. It's going to build our third CC, then rally to the natural. You can micro your Reaper against links because you have nothing to do until you have 400 minerals. Then look back, plop down your third command center. Then you can kind of go back to trying to deny creep tumors. Just get any information with that Reaper that you can. It's super important that you get a scout that you know that what the Zerg is doing is normal, because you need to adjust if you think something is coming, because this build is really sensitive to all-ins, especially like a Roach Ling all-in. That's really scary versus this build. There's a few safety precautions we can take, but you just need to have your reactions on point. So after you add-on swap, you'll make a starport, and then a gas geyser, and then your Hellions.
Command center got better.
And this is really important to get the gas geyser before you start your Hellions, because, you know, this is mech, we need gas. And there's kind of this rule I have with this build, is that after one gas geyser, you'll just build another gas geyser until all 4 gases are taken. Populate your gases, build another gas. Rally the SCV that builds a starport to go build a fusion core. Keep those 2 Hellions at home. I'm sorry, no. Send your first 2 Hellions out on the map, but keep the next 2 at home. Once you have 150, get that fusion core. Get a tech lab on the starport so we can build a cloakless Banshee just for safety. You're going to cancel it if you don't think roaches are coming, though. And if you see at the main, if you look in the minimap, I'm just taking my next gas geyser.
We finished that add-on.
So again, the order of how to take your gases is just one after another.
Command center upgrade is complete.
Okay, around 50 supply, get a supply depot. Let me get that production tab going for you. Start up that cloakless Banshee as soon as that tech lab finishes. Once you're at 6 Hellions, pause Hellion production for just a minute. You want to get your battlecruiser. If you don't see roaches, cancel the Banshee. Start up a battlecruiser. You don't have to do the cloakless Banshee. You could, in fact, instead build a tech lab on the barracks and then build a Viking and then add-on swap once the Viking's done and then start a battlecruiser. These are just variations, right? I like this variation because it's a little safer. Alright, 510 is kind of a magic number with Mech and TvZ. It's when you get your factories. So always remember that. 510, you need your factories by then. This Marine, let me pause. This Marine's super important. It kind of needs to deny vision of the third command center so that Zerg doesn't see it and go, oh, I'm going to roach all on you now. It's just kind of important to have. It's not completely the end of the world if they scout it, but it does tend to lead them to do more aggressive things if they see it. Okay, let's resume. Can resume Hellion production. Keep building depots. 530, go land your third command center. Start up 2 armories. You're going to want your gases right away so you can start mining them as quickly as possible. Okay, you have a few options with the first battlecruiser. You can obviously teleport it straight across the map. Or you can walk it across the map and then do a lot of damage, and when it's really low health, you warp it back home. I like the idea of walking it across the map because in case roaches come across the map, which sometimes they do, your battlecruiser is there to help defend. It didn't, just warp across the map and be absolutely useless for defense. Populate those gases.
Add-on complete.
As soon as you start your second battlecruiser, start up the Yamato. Don't start 1-1 right away. I think it's better to get 2 factories first and then get your 1-1. So get factory 4 and 5 at 630. Keep building depots. Okay, the mistake that I made this game that I wish I hadn't done is I wish that I got a faster engineering bay. I would say like 6 minutes, maybe even a little earlier. You want to build that engi bay if possible. And that's so you can get turrets. Because if you notice, Hellions don't shoot up very well. We don't have Marines, right? The only thing that you have that really shoots up against Mutalisk is the BC. And if they don't go Mutalisk, they're likely to go Roach Corruptor, and you still need turrets anyways. So turrets are super important with this build, plus they're like a mineral dump. So it's just now that I'm getting that engi bay. So I would say that was my biggest mistake this game. Start up 1-1. So from your factories, you're going to build 6 tanks first before you start building Cyclone Hellion.
That'd be a solid no on this.
After your second BC, you usually can't afford the third BC right away. There might be a slight pause in battlecruiser production. That's fine. Just make sure you get your third BC.
The minerals have up and gone.
Get those turrets. You can put them in like a line if you know it's Corruptor. Because like if they do a Roach Corruptor timing, then this helps. If it's Mutalisk, obviously just get it in the mineral lines and maybe a few by your tanks.
We finished that.
730, get a 4th command center. I think my other mistake this game is like right now I could afford Magfield and Blue Flame. I would get them now rather than later. But don't get them right away.
Complete.
I also believe that this game I accidentally made 7 tanks instead of 6 tanks. It's not a big deal. Just getting extra turrets in case it's Mutalisk, plus we're floating a ton of minerals. Again, I think you could start Magfield and Blue Flame much sooner than I did this game, so those are my 2 mistakes. engi bay and those 2 upgrades. Right about now, though, you do want to get extra factories going. Go up to 8 total.
Ready to roll out. Optics online.
And if you notice, I built some Widow Mines. This is actually very intentional, and TY's been doing it a lot. Basically, the thought is,
Your upgrade is done.
if you have 15 Hellions, having 30 Hellions isn't going to do anything more for you.
Mineral
Getting
field
Widow Mines will,
depleted.
though, because they shoot up, they do splash damage to Ling Bane. They're just good to have in the army
Minerals have
composition.
Up and gone. Mineral field depleted.
Fueled up, ready to go. Systems go.
If you look, though, I've got like 116 sorry, 1,600 minerals and like
The
barely
minerals
100
have
gas.
up and gone.
You're just going to be so gas starved with this build. And it's just how mech works, and I don't think there's a better way to deal with it. So you compensate by like making lots of static and throwing down lots of command centers. And trading out Hellions is fine as well. Start up that 2-2. With this build, I don't think it's possible to max out by 10 minutes and have a 10-minute timing. I think BCs are so incredibly expensive that you just can't do it.
Add-on complete.
So instead, I usually opt for a 2-2 timing and just try and get as much damage with my Hellion Cyclone on the map leading up to that point. As well with the battle cruisers. You can be so aggressive with battle cruisers, and that's kind of why they're popular. Is because they're like a Banshee, but so much better.
We finished that add-on. Nice. Research complete.
Transfer workers. I've mentioned it before, but getting extra bases with Mech and TvZ is really important. So going up to like 5 bases as quickly as you can is just, that's when Mech gets scary, is when you have that huge economy. So at some point you're going to need to add in Thors. And you obviously would want to do it before you max out. So you have something to deal with like a Mutalisk transition. That is the biggest thing against Mech, is tech switches. So the more well-rounded your army is, with having tanks and cyclones and Thors and Widowmines, the better it's going to be versus these tech switches. If you just go mass tank, you're just going to die to, like, if they were heavy on roaches, then they just go into Mutalisk, you just kind of die. So that's why it's good to have that mix of unit compositions with Mech. Now that our 2-2 is almost done, I'm just going for a timing. I've seen guys like Cure Turtle tell 3-3 though. So when you decide to move out, it's kind of up to the game state. You can add in more starports and start going for Liberators. I think Thor Lib is the strongest late game army composition for Mech that there is against Zerg. Thor Lib is incredibly scary. And it basically gets to a point where like they have to have Broodlord and Fester to deal with it.
The minerals have up
Because
and
everything
gone.
else like does not cut it.
Your
And they
upgrade's
basically
done.
need to steal your units. Like your units are so much better than their units that they actually have to steal your units to win
Upgrade complete.
when you get to that point. That's significantly later though than what stage we're at, but the more bank you have, the easier you can kind of tech to that army.
And there.
And yeah, that's the build, guys. As you can see, we're just mass expanding. With Mech, expect to be rich. You can even throw like extra planetaries if you're floating money. Like you just want to set up such a good defense that you just don't die to anything. So yeah, that's the build. Add in more units as you see fit. Add in more tanks, whatever. Just kind of depends on the unit composition of the Zerg. Anyways, I hope this helps, and I'll see you next time. Please like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Bye.